Hello, my name is Brittany Lord, and I'm the facilitator for the Remembering Our Babies counseling group. I hope you're having a great day so far. I wanted to welcome you to our group. If you're brand new and you haven't been on this YouTube channel before, welcome. Please leave any kind of comments, like us, subscribe to us, and let us know what you think about the videos. As a disclaimer, this video is simply meant to help those who are struggling with the pain, the grief of losing a child or struggling with infertility. This is not meant to diagnose or to treat ongoing mental health issues. And if you or someone watching this video is experiencing a medical or mental health emergency, please go to your nearest medical or emergency health facility. There are people that are ready and willing to help in those situations. So again, this is not to diagnose or to tell someone how to think or feel or to tell them that they need therapy, but just as an informational video. In 2023, the Remembering Our Babies counseling group started a new offering of 3 different ways that we can come alongside women in our community and beyond, in a community of all of us who make up this club that not one of us ever wanted to be in. If you have lost a child due to infant death, miscarriage, or struggle with the pain of infertility, we would love to give you these ways and these tools to be able to help cope with some of the physical, emotional, spiritual emotional effects of grief. So the 3 ways that we're doing that is with the yearly walk that we do, usually in October or November every year, so please stay tuned to this page for that. And at the walk, we give our babies the opportunity to take the steps that they never got to take. So we have a walk, we have food trucks, face painting, tons of stuff to do for kids, live music, a raffle, an amazing raffle, some of the most beautiful baskets that I've ever seen at a raffle at this event. And at the end, we do a candlelight ceremony, and it welcomes those who have lost a child to be able to remember those babies gone too soon or who we never got to know. Another way that we are offering help to women in our community and beyond, and families in our community and beyond, is through this monthly video podcast. And so stay tuned. We're going to have one that will drop on the first of each month, detailing some ways, some practical hands-on ways that you can process some of the effects of grief. And then the third way is that we're offering 2 free individual, and I shouldn't say free, they're free to you, but they're covered by the proceeds that come from this group. And the 2 individual sessions will be with me. I'm a LPC MHSP. You can check out those credentials, and you can even look on my website. But if you'd like more information about that, please contact us. So this month, we thought we would talk about coping mechanisms. So coping mechanisms, and this concept gets thrown around a whole lot. So I wanted to bring some clarification and offer some coping mechanisms that may be helpful for you that you may not have known about. So while you're working through your grief, you're processing, you're working through some of these effects of grief, you still have to live. You still have to go to work. You have to take care of people. You may be a caregiver. I don't know your situation. But you have to sometimes, you process, you go to therapy, you go to groups, you watch our podcast, but then, we have to get on and move on with our day. And we have to do things that take care of us, doing self-care. And that's different for every single person. I love to run, but for some people, running would be the least favorite coping mechanism or self-care technique that they can think of. Other people might like to paint or to draw or to write or to go for hikes, go for a run. So what one person's coping mechanism is may not be another, but finding what works for you and is helpful for you is so, so important. So there's lots of different types of coping mechanisms. So let's first go over some of those types before we get to adding some new ones. So some of those types would be, the first one is altruism. So let's say if you have a person that, maybe you identify in this group and you struggle with the pain of infertility or losing a child. Maybe you want to start a support group in your church or in your community. That giving back to others who have struggled with the same things that you have been is a coping mechanism. And so you're helping others through your pain. Suppression. So now suppression kind of gets a bad rap. But, we can recognize that sometimes now is not the time to pay attention to some of our thoughts and feelings. And I'm going to give you a way to do that before the end of this video. So let's say that you're at the Thanksgiving dinner table and there's something comes up that's really bothersome to you, maybe about the way that your dad talked to you, about something in the past. Maybe you recognize, okay, the Thanksgiving dinner table is maybe not the place to have that conversation. We're going to tuck that away and we're going to get to it maybe later on. That's an example of suppression. Now, suppression does get a bad rap when we maybe numb out with drugs or alcohol or other things and not pay attention or get to our feelings. The point is, yes, we're suppressing now, but we're going to get to it soon. So anticipation. Anxiety or stress is not always a bad thing. If we anticipate that we have a test or a final exam coming up, well, that anxiety and the way that we cope with that is to study. So we anticipate what may happen. So if we have something, a big thing coming up that we not sure what's going on, maybe we've had a really tough diagnosis. We may throw ourselves into, let's do all the research that we can and find out as much about this condition as we possibly can. So that's anticipation. Humor. Now, we all have heard of comedians that really struggle with maybe their mental health, that's kind of how they got their start in the business of comedy, is using humor to deflect. Now, humor can also be a form of suppression. So the point is, and where we look at coping mechanisms is, and if they are healthy or not, is this a method to distract, or is this a method to get on with our day, or is this a method to keep us from ever paying attention to our thoughts and feelings? So we look at the motivation behind that coping mechanism so we know whether that's healthy, just getting through our day, just helping us to be able to get to and process those thoughts and feelings, or is it to numb and to bury those thoughts and feelings? And we'll get to that a little bit more later on. Distraction. If that favorite television show, going for a run, anticipation exercise can also be anticipation. If you have a fear of, maybe your dad died early from a heart attack. And so to cope with that, you take care of your body, you exercise quite a bit. It can also be a form of distraction. So watching TV, taking a walk, sometimes even going to bed can be a distraction. It's late in the day, things are just really tough. Let's go to bed and let's face it in the morning. Now, if we're doing that on a daily or weekly basis, every single week, that becomes a problem. That means that we're avoiding. But if that night, if nothing's getting resolved at 3 o'clock in the morning, and nothing rarely ever does get resolved at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Then that can be a good use of distraction for coping mechanism. So I mentioned just a moment ago that I had a way of doing some suppression. So we recognize, okay, now's not the time. So we've got, here we are, 4th of July, vacations are coming up. Maybe I've got to do a bunch of things with family. Maybe I got a big family to get together. And really, I'm struggling with my mental health. I'm struggling with coping with the effects of grief. So a great way to do that is with a coping skills box. Now, this is not a box. This is an envelope. Mine's a little bent. But this is a way for us to put off some of what is happening for us. Not to bury it, not to say that we should not think or feel this, but to put it away to be thought about later. Let me show you how it works. Now, it's called a coping skills box. You can certainly use a box and keep something like that in your car, but that's not convenient. This can be used and put into maybe a satchel, a purse, a book bag, to the desk drawer of your drawer at work, maybe even to the glove box to your car. So you have an envelope to hang on to your Post-it notes, and you get two different colors of Post-it notes. So let's say that I use the pink ones to write down my coping mechanisms, right? So I put on here, go for a run, say a prayer, listen to my favorite song, call a friend, whatever that those may be for you, and those can differ as from east to the west. Those are on the pinks. So you pull those off, you have those individual, and you've got those ready to go. So then you have an empty pad of another color. Color doesn't matter, of course, whatever two colors that you like. On this color Post-it note, I have blue. And we have those Post-it notes in there. We're going about our day. We have a thought or feeling, and it's important, but we don't have time to get to it right now. So we pull off the blue, we write on there the thought or the feeling, we pull it off, we put it in the envelope, pull out one of our pinks, and do what that is to get us through. Maybe I've got on there to say a prayer or to meditate for 5 minutes or do a breathing exercise. We put it in, get on with our day after doing our quick coping mechanism. The point is, you're not getting rid of it, you're not shoving it down, you're not throwing it away, you're facing it, you're putting it into the envelope to be paid attention to later. So then, now where this doesn't work is we put it in the envelope and we throw it back in our desk drawer and we never pay attention to it. So the plan is once a week, once a month, twice a month, whatever works for you, even maybe a couple times a week, you pull out, and I would pull out all the blues and pay attention to, okay, I'm going to process, I'm going to lean into this, I'm going to let myself grieve, I'm going to let myself cry, I may even scream, and I'm going to give those things their time and their space. What we know from grief is grief symptoms experienced that are not processed and that are pushed down, pushed down, and pushed down. And I don't mean to get cause alarm to anyone. We know that that has detrimental effects to our mind and body over time. Higher increase of cancer, higher increase of heart disease, high blood pressure, many different things, stomach issues. So when we're processing and we're getting to these things, we lower our chances and lower our risk for that. The coping skills box, it doesn't seem like it's all that magical, right? What's so big about 2 different Post-it notes, but it gives you a systematic way to know I can pay attention to my thoughts and feelings, but I can also get on with my day because life does happen. So try this and let me know what you think about it. I'm also would like to do a noticing technique today with you all. So breathing techniques, if you Google 10-minute guided meditation or if you Google mindfulness exercises, you'll come up with a million different things. We know from many, many, many studies that, and these are highly reputable studies, that breathing techniques, deep diaphragmatic breathing, like as in with yoga practices, has huge benefits. One study that I had been made aware of was 2 people were put in a room, and one person did regular deep breathing, and the other person didn't, and they were giving a challenging exercise. The heart rate and the brain waves of the person who regularly did the breathing exercises stayed nice and smooth and steady, and the person that didn't do those kind of went up and down. Now, this is different for every single person, and this is not meant to diagnose or to, really to support yoga. But we know that deep diaphragmatic breathing can be helpful for people. I would encourage you to take a look at that and to see what that looks like for you. Find the voice, find the music, find what works for you. Not every person's going to like every different example. Just like with our coping mechanisms going from east to west, no breathing technique is going to be applicable for everyone. So the one that I'm going to do with you today, I'm going to be looking, so you have my office behind me, so you can use this in your own space. So it's a noticing exercise, and you can do this with your eyes totally open while nobody even knows what you're doing. I had one client in my private practice that used this while she was driving. She was still able to keep her eyes on the road and keep paying attention, but when she would notice distressing thoughts come up because she had had her car wreck, she was able to get back on the road and get her mind back off of that. So as I look in my background behind me in my office, I can notice 5 things I can see. I can notice a yellow sign. I can notice a blue wall decor. I can notice a yellow pillow in my chair. I can notice gray on my walls. I can notice white tiles above my head. I can also notice 4 things that I can feel. I can feel my feet flat on the floor. I can feel my side next to my desk. I can feel my hands clasped together. And I can feel air against my skin from the air conditioner. I can notice 3 things that I can hear. I can hear the steady hum of traffic outside. I can hear the tick of my clock. I can hear the hum of my fan. I can notice 2 things I can smell. I can smell the air freshener, air plug-in that I have in my room. I can smell the soap that I used this morning. I can notice one thing that I can taste. I can taste the mint that I ate right before I made this video. So knowing that at any time we can notice what's happening in our surroundings and come right back to this. Now, what's important to note, there's nothing magical about mindfulness exercises. And again, as I mentioned, if you Google that, you'll find 1,000, millions of them. But what's helpful with the noticing technique is, again, nothing magical about noticing gray walls, but it gets our mind just enough turned off of what we're thinking about to be able to get back on with our day. Maybe we've already used our coping skills box, we've written that down, but we're still not being able to find our way of de-stressing enough to get on with our day, to do what we need to do. So maybe that noticing exercise is just enough of a shift to pay attention to our surroundings and get our mind back into the present. Anxiety and depression, effects of grief, put us in the past and in the present, in the past and in the future. And that's okay to go there, but maybe it's just not convenient right now. As we mentioned before, this is a club that no one wants to be in, but we know that we can learn from each other, we can support each other, and we can be on the path to healing. I would encourage you, find that support that you need. Reach out to us. Find a counselor, whether it's me, whether it's anybody else. There's tons of good counselors out there, tons of websites where you can find counselors. Find information about what makes a counselor them, and keep in mind, not every counselor is right for everybody. You might have to try a couple before you find them. Find some coping mechanisms that are right for you, whatever that is. It may not be running, it may not be painting. Who knows? The sky is the limit. But find some ways to help you cope with physical, emotional, spiritual, all the different effects of grief. Please post and like and subscribe. Let us know what you're thinking and let us know how we can help. Take care and have a great day.